and welcome into the West Tennessee High School Sports Podcast here on JacksonSun.com. I am Jackson Sun High School sports writer Brandon Shields here with my co-worker, compadre, comrade, the other high school sports writer at the Jackson Sun, Michael Odom. And Michael, we've been through fall sports and football and volleyball and girls soccer and all that stuff. Been through basketball season and bowling.
Yes.
We're now finally through the regular season of spring sports. We're kind of in the home stretch of the sports school year, and we're getting into the postseason for baseball, which is what this podcast is about. So, are you ready to take a nap after all this is after spring fling?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to take the whole month of June off. So it's all yours, buddy.
Okay. All right. Well, I could come up with something funny, but I don't think I'll say that. So we'll just move on to the actual discussion of the podcast of baseball, and we're getting into district tournaments. We've pretty much got most, if not all, of the district tournaments that are in our coverage area. Do we have the Division IIA region tournament yet with USJ?
No, that one will be decided Tuesday or Wednesday. Peel said Peel's going to get it to us.
Okay, so as far as Division I think we got just pretty much all of those. So let's just kind of get right into it. I guess when it comes to baseball, and the one that has the familiarity of state championships and contenders and stuff like that is District 15A. So I say we just kind of start there. This has been a fun one to watch just because it's one of those that's kind of had a log jam at the top, it seems like. One team is doing really well one week, and then they get swept the next week, and it's not just one team; it's another team. So, how does this one shake out going into the district tournament?
You got to look at it with Jackson Christian as a 5 seed going in.
Good grief, that's a spring fling team last year too.
I mean, no, yes, he's dealt with some injuries. Carter Holt's been hurt here recently, but I think there's the potential of a lot of those players to be back for this tournament, and that could make them a big surprise. Don't be surprised if Jackson Christian goes on a run and makes it out of this district, which means with the region they're in, they'll be playing for a spot in the state tournament. They'll make it to sectionals if they can get out of this district.
But injuries notwithstanding, they're a 5 seed for a reason. If they don't make it out, when was the last time they didn't make it out of district?
It's been a few years, but I mean, there's lots of good. I mean, you've got the defending state champs in here as a 1 seed with Scotts Hill. Adamsville's been hot. They've been leading. Them and Scotts Hill have been on top of the district most of the year.
Riverside and TCA have had their ups and downs this year.
TCA got the 3 because they swept Riverside last week. I mean, I think TCA only brought back 3 returning starters from last year.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I think this one is wide open. And it's at Riverside, the 4 seed. So, I mean, no team plays better or has more of a home field advantage, I think, in baseball than Riverside. So, I mean, I think they could go on a run. I think this is definitely a wide open tournament.
So it's Scotts Hill 1, Adamsville 2, TCA 3, Riverside 4, Jackson Christian 5, and then Middleton comes in at 6. When does that tournament get started?
That tournament is supposed to start Thursday, depending on all this rain that's forecasted. The whole thing's at Riverside, and Thursday, I mean, it starts off first game of the tournament, Riverside, Jackson Christian.
Good grief! All right, so obviously a good team's going to start off with a loss there, and kind of already be backed into a corner in that one. All right, so District 13A, keeping it in single A for the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been kind of the baseball guy this year, and I've just kind of been watching, but not as close as I have in past years. Is this the Huntington Invitational?
In 13A, yeah, I believe so. I mean, they seem to be head and shoulders above any other team in District 13A. The other 1 seed's McKenzie. They had little trouble beating McKenzie, beat them by, run ruled them in 5 innings. Mm-hmm. The 2 seeds, West Carroll, they run ruled, and Dresden, they've run ruled. If Huntington doesn't win this district, it'll be a big upset. I think, last year, everything they went through, the sub-500 season, they still made it out of districts. lost in the region semis,
Right.
but this team seems to have it all together. All those lessons learned last year are going to help them this year.
So is it just like McKenzie and Dresden just kind of lost plenty of talent? Because I was thinking both of them would have been more competitive with Huntington this year.
Yeah, no, I think they both have lots of talent, and I think they'll both play well, whichever one makes it out. I think those are the two favorites to join Huntington in the region tournament. I think that they'll give any team in 14A a run for their money. I just think Huntington's that much better.
Well, you went ahead and segued into the next district, 14A. This is who 13A will match up with in a couple of weeks in the region tournament. Peabody obviously started off as one of the hottest teams in the area. They've kind of maintained it for the most part all season. Who's going to be some of those teams that'll really challenge for that district championship?
That district, how their regular season set up is so different with the pod system, and you have I don't understand how they completely create it, because like Gibson County is a 4 seed, although the scores I saw, they beat South Fulton, who's the 2. But Peabody is the 1. I think they're the favorite to make it out. The key for them is going to be keep winning, because pitching depth is always a problem on the single A level, and when you've got 9 teams, if you lose that first game or lose early and you have to fight out of that losers bracket, you're going to lose pitching. So they'll play the winner of Greenfield Bradford. The 2 seed is South Fulton, who's having a really good season. They were 20-3 at one point. I know they lost to Gibson County in their next game. So they're right in that 20-4, 20-5 range. Halls is good at 3. Gibson County's good at 4. Lake County's having a good season at 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think this could be another, good district tournament that's going to, I think as it goes on, it's going to rely a lot on hitting as teams start losing their top pitchers, especially with our new pitch count rule this year.
Right. Yeah, this is kind of where this time of year where that pitch count really start probably affecting teams more than it has up to this point. Speaking of that tournament, where is that one? Is that at Union City?
That's at Union City.
All right, if I cover any baseball, that's where I'm going. They got air conditioning in that press box.
I'll let you go on a Friday when half the teams are at one field and half are at the other, and we'll cover the other field. We'll cover the losers bracket that doesn't have air conditioning.
No, I'll stick with the winners. All right, anyways, moving on to Double A. First off, kind of sticking mainly with rural West Tennessee. 13 Double A, Milan seems
South Gibson.
or South Gibson's the number 1 seed in that one. Wow, I remember they split last week. I remember hearing about that.
South Gibson
They swept?
and
Okay.
that's what put South Gibson as the 1 seed.
Interesting. All right, so obviously South Gibson's been having a pretty decent year then.
Yeah, and they're like TCA. They lost a lot from last year. They lost half of their lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Key players were gone, and last year's team wasn't great. I mean, they did lose 7 games by 1 run, but they didn't perform well in the postseason, and so now you've got South Gibson as a 1 seed, O'Bine as the 2, Milan as the 3, Westview as the 4, Dyersburg 5, and Crockett 6. That whole tournament's at South Gibson, other than 2 games on Thursday, and the way they have it set up is on Thursday your 4 and 5 will play, and then the winner has to turn around and play South Gibson. So South Gibson will get that advantage of Dyersburg or Westview have already played a game,
right,
and they've already used a pitcher.
Right.
The same at O'Bine. O'Bine is the 2, so earlier that day it will be Milan versus Crockett, and then the winner will have to turn around and play O'Bine.
Yeah.
So that kind of sets up an interesting first day, that where seeding means a lot more. Getting that 1 and 2 seed means a lot more because you get to rest that game and get a tired team.
So just kind of real quick, I mean, there's been a lot of flipping, I guess, in this district compared to last year. Crockett's kind of taken a bit of they're not competing as well as they did last year. Milan, I mean, with all they had coming back off that team that essentially finished in the Final Four last year, I was expecting them to be the number 1 seed coming in, and every time I looked at their scores, they were winning.
It's just been here late. They lost some district games late that they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. So that just means it's going to should be a fun tournament to watch.
Oh yeah, that tournament. I mean, I think there's some really good district tournaments. So if you're a fan, you need to get out and watch some of these tournaments because there'll be some really good games.
14 AA.
14 AA. That's another exciting one. There were some really exciting games last year at Southside. This year the tournament's down at McNary, and McNary is the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 seed is Lexington, 3 is Chester, and the 4 is Southside. I think those are the 4 favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking at a Friday night game at 7 o'clock being Chester versus Lexington, and I don't think it gets much better than that in high school rivalries.
Somebody may go to jail from that game. On the field or off. All right, so just kind of fill us in on how McNary got that 1 seed. I mean, did they pretty much go through the district undefeated?
Their first series of the year was against Chester, and they split. It was a rain-out doubleheader, and Chester got them in game 2. But other than that, they swept Lexington, swept Chester, swept Bolivar, swept Fayette Ware. I mean, they haven't had much trouble other than that one doubleheader. They've got depth at pitching.
Mm-hmm.
We did a story on that earlier this year, where Coach Franks talks about, he's got 8 guys that he's willing to throw and start on any given night.
And from the stats I'm putting together each week, Parker Childers looks like he's as good as anybody around here.
Yeah, Parker Childers is tough. He's pitched well all season for him. He didn't play much last year as his brother hit him in the face with the ball and fractured his jaw, so he's now back, and maybe it made him better.
Yeah, I think I saw somewhere his record's 6-0 right now, so he's obviously having a good year. 15 AA.
15 AA has been kind of the Covington Invitational. Covington's been tough, and they haven't given up much. And I think Covington's not only a favorite to win that district in the region, but I think they got a good chance of making state this year. That sub-state game, whoever probably has to go down there is going to have a tough order. But after that, there's a lot of fluidity.
Yeah.
There's not that. I mean, Haywood's the 2, Northside's the 3, Ripley's the 4, Liberty's the 5. Liberty beat Northside once. So there's that tournament is at Ripley. That one should be another good one.
Yeah. So Covington and Northside, they both finished higher in the district than they have the last couple of years, or have they just been young and they're kind of cashing in on all that experience now? Or?
Covington's always been tough. I don't know if maybe Ripley and Haywood were just better last year. Northside, I think, is just, they got that sweep over Ripley, and that really helped them. So, 15A should be another good one.
All right, so we're still waiting to hear from kind of the finalized schedule for Division 2A region tournament. They'll go straight to region with top 4 teams out of the 2 districts in the West playing. USJ will obviously be a part of that one. 13 AAA, Hardin County hadn't had the best year. I think they're going into that one as the 4 seed out of 4 teams behind Brighton, Dyer County, Munford. But they win a couple of games in there. They got a shot at moving on to region, which Hardin County has a history of doing over the last few years. All right, so we'll have region in 2 weeks. I guess they'll have the rest of this week and all of next week to get their district games in. What's the weather forecast like in the last 25 seconds of this?
Wet. There's definitely going to be some wet days. Thursday, rain this week. Next week, they're supposed to rain like Monday, Tuesday. So, wet.
Spectacular. All right, well, thanks for listening, and good luck to your favorite baseball team. Hopefully, if you're hosting a tournament, you'll get dry weather and you won't have that much work to do. Thanks. See ya.